I've been playing so many trick-taking games over the past year and a half, and what I'm loving so much about the genre is their ease of getting to the table, the unique concepts that are being added to these games, and that once I teach the core of trick-taking to someone, I have a really powerful start in teaching them more. But I've picked up some favorites along the way, and today we are going to be looking at my current top 10 trick-taking games of all time. We're going to start off with my number 10, which is actually a game that you might recognize from a previous list of mine, and that is going to be Sail. This is a two-player cooperative trick-taking game where you are going to try and move your boat from one point of the sea to the other point. And as you are playing tricks with your partner, you are going to be determining who wins the trick, and after you do that, the boat is going to move towards that winning player. So typically you'd play it on opposite sides of this kind of long board. Now there's all these obstacles on the actual board, and you're going to be wanting to be careful about those obstacles because if you hit those, they're going to add more Kraken cards in there, and that's kind of one of the ways that you can lose the game. So this game is all about getting into the mind and head of that other person across the table. What do they have in their hand? How do you best navigate these oceans? There's a ton of different map layouts that come in the base box, but there's also a mini expansion that comes with even more. There's also asymmetric roles that you can get that have like abilities that are unique to that player. They're really, really fun, and this is one of my favorites. I love the artwork. I love this game. It's so wonderful. That is going to be Sail. And kind of staying in the vein of two-player trick takers, the next one is going to be the Phantom of the Opera. I'm a huge fan of the Phantom of the Opera in general. This game actually does happen to be, I wouldn't say it's a thematic trick taker, but I would say that it does a really good job with its theme. One player is going to be playing the Phantom, and the other player is going to be playing Christine. And the Phantom is trying to make the music sing by basically ensuring that a trick is either won or lost depending on the position of the note on the musical notes, which is just kind of the player board. And what will happen is the Christine player is always going to try to do the opposite. Now you're going to go through two whole hands, and once you're through those two hands, Christine will have won. The Phantom player is trying to get through the music before that happens. So that's kind of how the game is won or lost by the Phantom or Christine accordingly. Now there's another cool concept where there is a number that will be called essentially a super trump. And if that number is played, which it's first determined by the Phantom, and then on the second half of the game, or in hand 2, it's determined by Christine, whenever that number is played, it will essentially boon or bane the Phantom player. So if the Phantom player wins with that super number, it will actually give them 2 notes on that track. If they lose with that super number, they're going to lose 2 notes. So they're going to lose a lot of momentum. And I thought that that was kind of a cool concept. There's also a lot of information exchanging in this one. So both players will be giving each other cards. And I think that's really interesting that you're going against your opponent, but you're also giving them a card. And so you don't really want to give them too much information, but it really just depends on what you're trying to do. This game is so deep. Every time I've played it with Kate, we love this game so much. So that is Phantom of the Opera, the trick-taking game. 12 Chip Trick is the first trick-taking game on this list that actually doesn't use cards for the trick-taking. It uses 12 chips, which is fitting for the name of the game. But this game is a may-follow trick-taking game. Therefore, when a player leads, well, I guess first off I should explain, there's going to be chips, and the lower valued chips are going to be in blue. The highest valued chips are going to be in blue, and everything in between is going to be red chips. And at the beginning of the game, you're going to kind of deal these out. You're going to give each player 2 of each color. And the lead player, randomly determined or whatever, is going to be playing any one of these chips from their hand. Then clockwise, everybody's going to be playing a chip. Now, this is a may follow game, so you don't have to follow blue or red if that's the lead color. You can play whatever chip you want from your hand. However, at the end, the highest value chip is going to win that trick, and they are going to take one of those chips and basically score it in front of them. When you take a chip to score, it has to be red if it's available, and then if it's not available, then you would take blue. So the winner is going to take one chip, and they're going to score that. They're going to put it aside face up, and it's going to get out of their hand. Then, clockwise from the winner, they're going to be drafting the rest of those chips, but those ones are going to go in the player's hands. So what ends up happening is there's kind of a revolving amount of, like, one player is going to be having less chips, and then another player is going to have less chips, and then one player is going to have more chips, or and then one player is going to go back to 4. It's a really, really interesting dynamic of fluctuating numbers and kind of a closed economy of these numbers that you're like, oh, so that one's shut out, but this one's still in the game, and now this player has the high 12. It's a really, really interesting dynamic. It's so simple, but every time I've played this one, it's kind of broken my brain a little bit, and I could see this one raising up the more I play it. I found it very intriguing. Oh, but once you are actually done, once the 4th chip has been scored by a single player, the rest of the players have to take all the chips in their hand and score them immediately in front of them. You're going to calculate the total of what's in front of you, and if you get more than 21, you have busted, which means that you unfortunately cannot score. But if you were able to keep below 21 and be the highest number, you then win a victory point, and the first to get 3 victory points wins the entire game. What a fun game, and it's so cool. It's so fancy. I love the little coasters as the scoring points in this version of the game. So definitely check it out. This is going to be 12 chip trick. And next up on my list is going to be STONKS. I love this game. It is so much fun, and I want to introduce it to more people. First off, this art style is absolutely phenomenal. I am a huge fan of kind of that rubber hose, old school cartoon art style, and the fact that this is all about kind of, stocks and stock trading in a way. That really does fit thematically with this. I think it's a really, really good theme. But how the game actually works is it's very much a standard trick-taking game, although you also have these companies that have certain values throughout the game. And when you win a trick in this game, you get to take one of those cards that was played and basically put it into your bank or wallet to score at the end of the game. There's cards that can be played that can actually raise or lower the value of a certain company when played. They might not win you the trick, but they might give you some manipulation of the company's value, which is really, really beneficial depending on what your kind of strategy is. At the end of the game, you're going to be looking at all of the cards that you banked in your wallet, and you're going to see, how valuable each of these fish actually is that's in your bank, depending on the value of that company at the end of the game. And that is one of the most fun parts, is kind of checking really how well you did and how well you were able to foresee the market was going to do on what you were actually banking in there for score. Another cool thing is that in STONKS, the trump suit is always going to be on the least valuable market, which I find really fun. So the company that's going to give you the least points at the end of the game is going to be the trump suit for winning tricks. And that is just a fun addition. I love this game. I think it is very, very fun. Next up, we've got the game that I've played most recently, and it's one of the newer trick-taking games to me, and the one that rose up quickest on this list, and that is going to be Power Vacuum. Now, I already talked about that I love the rubber hose art style, and this kind of isn't really rubber hose, but I mean, those weird kind of, human appliances theme of this, the pun name of Power Vacuum, and it's literally a power vacuum. It's good. I mean, already it was going to get kind of a shout out on here, but it actually turns out to be a really, really good game as well. And I just want to thank the Discord member, Sam. They were actually able to help me get this copy of the game, and they actually introduced me to another game on this list. So honestly, Sam is the MVP right now. So thank you so much. But Power Vacuum is interesting in that it's a trick-taking game. However, the backs of the cards are revealed. So as you're playing the game, you can see exactly what everybody has in their hands. You know that they have red cards, you know that they have green cards. In this game, the red color is going to be the trump suit. However, there's another cool aspect of it, and that's that there are spies as well that can beat the trump suit of red. And those spies are actually they show that they are a normal color, but on the other side they're the black spy color. And so you can't really calculate perfect information, but you can always kind of see, like, when a player doesn't play something and then you kind of see that they still have a green card, you're like, oh, that's the spy. And that always feels really good in this game. It's a very cool mechanic, just a small little thing. But in this game, you're trying to collect power, which is very fitting with a name like Power Vacuum, right? And one of the ways that you're going to gain power in this is by winning tricks. But probably the coolest concept of this game is going to be the control board here. It's going to have a plug that basically connects to all of these different appliances, and these appliances are marked as the players themselves as well. And at the beginning of the game, you're going to have an agenda card that's going to have two colors on it, and what you're going to basically say is, okay, I want the red player to have the most power at the end of this round, and then I want the black player to have the least power. And so throughout the game, you might be working towards getting most power in front of the red player. And in order to do that, if you were the player that has the least valued card in a trick, you get to transfer one power between that cord, moving it from either of those boxes to another. And then you get to move a cord to a different location, setting up for a future play. It's a really, really interesting dynamic where the player who played the lowest value will likely not win the trick, but they do have the power to kind of change the direction of the rest of the game. There's also these really cute and adorable statues that are basically the victory points, and at the end of a round you're going to be trading these in. For every 10 victory points will get you a statue piece. The player who builds their statue at the end will then signal the end of the game. And so yeah, that is going to be Power Vacuum, a very, very interesting game that kind of turns a lot of trick taking a little bit weird. Like, there is just a lot here, and I think that's one of the reasons why I love it so much. This is also going to be the biggest box in this current list. I bought 2 French tarot decks, and this game is just, it's so cool. It is so interesting, and I just want to play it more and more and more and more and more. But one of the things that captures me most about this game is that the deck is so weird. The composition is so weird. But first off, I have to say thank you to Sam once again from the Discord server, because he introduced me to this game. We were just talking about, trick-taking games and stuff, and he was just like, wait, have you played French Tarot? And just like explained the rules, and then I was like, oh gosh, this sounds amazing. So I immediately copped both of these decks. So this is a 78 deck of cards. There are 4 suits: the standard, diamonds, hearts, clubs, and spades. I'm blanking on the standard suits here. And those are going to go 1 through 10. For the kind of face cards, you've got the king, queen, knight, and jack. So an extra face card in each suit. And then there are cards 1 through 21, which are the trump suit cards, and every one of those is more powerful than every other card that I've just talked about. And then there is kind of a spoiler card called the Fool. So at the start of a game of French Tarot, everybody is going to basically be bidding on their hand to basically be what's called the taker. Now, the interesting thing is that the player who bids the highest with their hand, basically saying that they think they're going to basically win the certain number of points needed, they're actually going to be playing against the rest of the table. So it becomes a 3v1 scenario the moment the bid has been won. Now, the taker is going to be trying to score a certain number of points based on how many honor cards they have, basically at the end of the game in tricks that they have won. So this is actually a must follow trick taking game. So you'll be, leading with a suit, and everybody will have to follow the suit. If you cannot follow the suit, then you have to play a trump card. That is the rule of the game. And the trump cards, that whole trump suit, they have amazing artwork. That one always wins the trick, the highest in trump, basically. That's basically the game. I'm not going to get too much in the weeds because I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I highly recommend watching how to play and trying it out if you want to give this weird game a chance. I found out that it's actually very, very popular in other places. Like, I have such a Western brain, like I never thought to think about like all the games that originated and are played in other countries. It is so cool to do that research. So I've just been looking at different decks from around the world and trying to figure out what games I can learn and play from them. It is so interesting. A little bit of bidding, a little bit of strategy, a little bit of bluffing, and of course, trick taking. Great game. So if you have watched this far in the video, you obviously are a fan of trick-taking games, or at least there's a high chance that you might be. So I thought I would take a moment to share two of the channels that I just can't get enough of their content because it is so good, and it is all about trick-taking games. The first one is Cardboard East. This channel is amazing. Jay is such a good presenter. I was able to play some trick-taking games with him at PAX, and he is just a delight. So definitely go head over there, as well as Taylor's Trick-Taking Table. Taylor is actually a designer as well in the field, so there is just some really good content from his perspective as well on that channel. I highly recommend you check out both of these if you are looking for more content surrounding trick-taking games. Next up, we've got a really easy to play trick-taking game called PUMAFIOSI, and this is by Reiner Knizia. It's actually a reprint of an older game, and I never played the older one. I've only played this version of the game. But PUMAFIOSI is a fun trick-taking game in which there are no suits. There's only cards value 1 through 55, and the winner of the trick is the person that played the second highest card in the trick. And what I find so fun about this is that once you actually win, you take that card that you won with and you get to put it on a hierarchy of these mafia. And this is going to have, you know, at the very top 10 and at the very bottom -3. And you're going to be able to place that card on there, put your colored chip on it to show that that's your mafia in that hierarchy. Now, one of the things though is that this is where like kind of a blind bidding game starts. Once you put your card on that track for scoring, throughout the game, other players are going to be placing on there as they win tricks with the second highest value. And if you have a higher number than another person on a rank on that track, you can bump them down. Every time your pieces or your mafias are bumped down on that track, you're going to be getting and collecting these negative points throughout the game. And so when you win with a card, let's say like a 30, it's hard to figure out where to put it. Do I want to just risk it and put it really high for the 8 pointer, or do I want to play it safe and just put it on the 5, knowing that it's probably not going to get bumped as much and probably end up there anyways? And that's really what the most fun of this game is just kind of figuring out how exactly you want to go about putting your mafia on that track. Now, there's also these one-time use items that you can add in the game, and I do recommend adding those if you want an even more interesting and strategic experience. Cards that can actually pair 2 cards on that hierarchy track, where when one has to move down, they both have to move down. There's some really fun mechanics. I love this game. I think it's really easy to play. I can teach it to anyone, and I enjoy it as well. So that is going to be PUMAFIOSI. And the next game on my list is a very small box, and this is going to be Trick and Snipers. And this is probably one of the quickest trick-taking games and smallest, and it's just the perfect game to basically bring anywhere, in my opinion. And first I want to shout out my friend Max, who actually introduced this not to me, but to my other friend Jeff. And then thank you to Jeff, because then Jeff actually introduced this to me, and now I think all 3 of us are just in love with this little trick-taking game. So Trick and Snipers is kind of standard in that, you know, you'll be playing tricks. However, when you win a trick, you're going to be placing it face down in front of you. It's not going to be worth any points for the most part. If you do score a point though in the trick, which there's 2 ways that can happen, you're going to be putting it face up to show that you actually scored a victory point. The way that the game ends is by scoring 2 points, and that is it. Okay, but how do you actually score these points? Well, One of the ways is that you win a trick when a 7 has been played. So if the 7 is played within the trick and that trick is won, the player who won it will get a victory point. Those 7s are really gorgeous in this. They're gold foiling, and they look really awesome. The other way to score a point, and the most fun way in my opinion, is to snipe the trick. And the way that that works is you're going to look at the highest lead card in the suit. If you then play offsuit, meaning that you couldn't have followed, and you add the total of that highest card in the lead suit and your card played to 13, then you will have actually won the trick and you score a point with that. But that's only if at the end of everyone playing the cards. So kind of as it goes, it might look like somebody might be able to snipe it and then somebody else might be able to snipe it. Some really, really fun dynamics. It is so short, so easy to play, so simple, and yet I literally can't stop thinking about this game every time I play it. So yeah, that is going to be Trick and Snipers. And the next game on my list is going to be Rebel Princess, a game that was probably one of the highlights of, I think it was PAX Unplugged, Gen Con, PAX Unplugged, one of those conventions. It was my highlight. I played this game quite a bit there, and ever since I've played it so many other times. And the funniest thing is, if you have played Hearts, this is Hearts. This is the exact game. However, there are so many cool additions to this version that make it go so high on this list. Rebel Princess is a standard trick-taking game. However, you're trying to avoid the princes. You're playing rebellious princesses. So you don't want the princes at the party, okay? They need to stay out. And these princes are going to basically give you positive points, but you're trying to have the lowest score at the end of the game. Now, nobody can lead a trick with a prince until a prince has been played off suit. And then at that point, they're invited, and now they can lead and be invited and be at the party. And it gets kind of crazy at that point. But essentially what makes the game so much more interesting than standard Hearts is there are asymmetric abilities that you get to use once per round. So everyone can choose a princess at the beginning of the game. There's some really, really cool abilities in here. But the thing that actually makes it even more interesting are these round rule cards. So you'll be playing that standard game trying to avoid the princes for positive points. But there are all these rules that change the game completely, and these are really what makes it be kind of a highlight of all these trick takers. Like, you might have a little bit of other trick taking games within this one game. It just depends on the round that you play. Like, some rounds it might be the lowest card played wins the trick, or other rounds the highest non-lead in the suit wins the trick, or you might, put a card aside and that's going to be the last trick of the round. There's so many different ways that you might play around, and that's why Rebel Princess is so interesting. It's just very different every single time I play. And yeah, I mean, the only thing about it though is that it can really suck. Like, I get screwed in this game a lot. I get so many princes. All the princes want to propose to me. Obviously, I'm the most beautiful, so it does make sense that they would want to come out of the woodwork to propose. And there's also a giant frog, and that frog gives you 5 points. It's just disastrous. It's disgusting, but frog always wants to kiss me. But that is Rebel Princess, one of my favorite trick-taking games. But my favorite game right now that is trick-taking is TRICKTAKERS, which this name is so funny. Like, whenever I say, have you played TRICKTAKERS, it ends up obviously leading to the of course I've played TRICKTAKERS, but then I'm like, no. Have you played TRICKTAKERS? Because that's different. So TRICKTAKERS, I mean, to nobody's surprise. Well, maybe it is surprising to some, but this is an asymmetric trick-taking game. So of course it's made it up this list. Of course it's got to be on the top. And one thing that I love, well, of course I love most about this is that asymmetry, but at the beginning of the game, you're drafting positions. There's different rules, and each of these rules scores points differently, but some of them even have different ways to win the game. For example, the resistance has a way to score points, but only when they do a revolt trick, which basically means that the lowest card played will win the trick. However, if they are able to win that trick with the black suit, which is the trump suit, they win the game immediately. So that's crazy. It's just one of the ways the game can end is just, playing the resistance. But the thing that I love most is that you're going to be looking at your hand of cards and you're going to be thinking, okay, what is this hand good for? And you're looking at the rules out on the table and you're like, okay, well, this hand is a good hand for this role. Some hands you're like, I don't like this hand at all. And so I'm going to take this card, so there's like so much thought process as to like which role you want to take with the hand that you are dealt. If you are the winner of a particular round, you will get a gold crown, and if you have scored no tricks, you can get a black crown. If you are ever the player that has 2 gold crowns, you win immediately, or if you're the player that has 3 black crowns, you win immediately. So now you have to fear who's winning all of these tricks each round and who's losing all of these tricks each round, and then also whose ability is going to pop off that's just going to end the game immediately right now, because I'm also afraid of that situation. But just to give you an idea of some of the crazy asymmetry in this game, let's just start with the simplest character, which is the king. So you could draft the king, and with the king, you are going to get the special king rare card in your hand, which rare is higher than all of the standard suits, even the trump cards. And then next round, you will actually be automatically selecting a character first, but you cannot take the king again. So this gives you kind of preference on what your next role will be, and you get first pick. But how you actually gain points: if you win 0 tricks, you get 0 points. If you get 1 trick, you get 20, 2 tricks, 50, 3 tricks, 80, 4 tricks, 120 points. And if you win all 5 tricks in the round, you win the game immediately. So that's just the king right there. And by the way, you're going to be playing 3 whole rounds. So if nobody wins by their asymmetric goal by the end of 3 rounds, whoever has the most victory points will win the game. So the Berserker, I love the Berserker. It's so weird. If I have a bad hand, sometimes I just take the Berserker. But the Berserker will discard all 5 cards in your hand. Then you add the Berserker card and 4 other random cards from the Berserker deck into your hand. Here's a spoiler. All of the Berserker cards are like 10s, which is the highest value cards in the game. So they win a lot of tricks. If it's the last round in the game and you win 0 tricks, you win the game entirely. Out of 8 classes in this game, and all are completely asymmetric, completely unique, and different in their ways of scoring and special abilities, the gambler has to basically say how many tricks they think they're going to win, and they can win a huge amount, double the amount, if they're able to call that out correctly. Oh, it's just so fun. The Adventurer is basically the Vagabond. They've got a ton of item cards, and depending on which ones they have face up and unused, they score points or lose points. Oh man, it's crazy. Tricktakers is insane, but it is so much fun. It is one of the games where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be able to figure this out for a long time, and I love that. I love that there are these asymmetric rules in a trick-taking game. And so that is one of the reasons why Tricktakers is my favorite trick-taking game right now of all time. But we've made it to the end of this list, and now I'm wondering, what are your favorite trick-taking games? What is either your favorite, or if you really feel like sharing, why don't you share your whole top list? I would love to kind of read what you guys are playing down there. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to drop a like down below and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. But hey, that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let's go ahead and drop the beat.